Today we're doing section 3.4, exponential and log equations, day 4. So it's some of the material that we did prior, but now we're going to put it in the context of word problems. So for our first example, it says medical research indicates that the risk of having a car accident increases exponentially as the concentration of alcohol in blood increases. The risk is modeled by the following equation, where X is the blood alcohol concentration and R, given as a percent, is the risk of having a car accident. What blood alcohol concentration corresponds to a 17% risk of a car accident? How is this shown on the graph of R in figure 3.20? So they're giving you the information of 17%. Notice R is measured as a percent, so I don't need to change this to a decimal. I'm going to keep it as a percent. And all we have to do is replace R with 17, and now we have to solve for X. So I have this 12.77X. So I need to start isolating the base of E as much as possible, so I'm going to start by dividing both sides by 6. To get an answer that is the most exact, we would just leave it as a fraction instead of turning it to a decimal. So now I'm at 17 over 6 equals E to the 12.77x. And now I would want to put it into exponential or into logarithmic form because the base is E. I want to use natural log. So I would put it in natural log form. So I have natural log base E of 17 over 6, and this is equal to 12.77x. And then to get x by itself, I would divide both sides by 12.77. So the way you would type this in the calculator, you would do ln 17 divided by 6, close the parenthesis, then divide that whole quantity by 12.77. And when we do that, we get approximately 0.08. So that means for a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08, you run a 17% risk of getting in a car accident. And then it says to kind of compare it to the graph. So you notice if you come over here, 17% is somewhere along this line, and then that will kind of correspond to that 0.08. So this is something that you should have learned in driver's ed, talking about like your BAC, which is your blood alcohol concentration. All right, so for our next problem, we have the bar graph in figure 3.21 shows the people with lower incomes are more likely to report that their health is fair or poor. The function below models the percentage of Americans reporting fair or poor health, f of x, in terms of annual income in thousands of dollars. According to the model, what annual income corresponds to 10% reporting fair or poor health, round to the nearest $1,000. So again, they don't want you to just use the graph. They want us to kind of compare at the end. They want us to use the equation. So they gave us the 10%, and f of x is measured in terms of percent. So we're going to plug 10 in for f of x equals 54.8 minus 12.3 ln x. And again, we keep it as a decimal because it says percentage right here, so that's why we don't have to put it as a decimal. So to start by solving, I need to isolate ln of x as much as possible, so I'm going to subtract that 54.8 over to both sides. So on the left side, we get negative 44.8. On the right side, we get negative 12.3. And then again, to isolate this, we would divide both sides by this negative 12.3. So you could either leave it as a fraction to get the most approximate answer, or you could put it as a decimal. So I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. I will clean up the fact that they're both negative, so I'm just going to say that this is a positive 44.8 divided by 12.3. If you are going to put it as a decimal, I recommend going to 3 decimal places. So now to get this out of log form in order to solve for x, I need to put it in the exponential form. And I know that it's implied that my base is e right here, so I would say e raised to the 44.8 divided by 12.3 equals x. So notice by doing this one step, x is now by itself, and I would just have to type this in the calculator. You would do e caret parenthesis 44.8 divided by 12.3, close the parenthesis. When you do that, you get x is approximately equal to 38. And in the problem up here, it tells you that x is measured in thousands of dollars. So this means they have an annual income of $38,000. And that's the corresponds to 10% of Americans reporting fair or poor health. So the last example we're going to discuss is kind of going back to those compound interest formulas, but now we're going to kind of solve for a different variable. So this problem says, how long will it take 25,000 to grow to 500,000 at a 9% interest compounded monthly? So remember that formula is A equals P times the quantity of 1 plus R over N raised to the NT. So I have all the values except the time. So I'm going to plug my 500,000 equals 25,000 times the quantity of 1 plus my interest rate is 0.09 divided by 12 raised to the 12t. So now to kind of start solving this, I would divide both sides by this 25,000. So when I do that, on the left-hand side I'll get 20. And on the right-hand side, we would want to type this in the calculator to find the exact decimal. So I know it's going to be 1 point. I just need to do 0.09 divided by 12. And I get 0.0075 raised to the 12t. And now in order to solve something like this, I need to get it out of exponential form and put it in log form. So because my base is not e, I don't need to use natural log. I would just use log. So I'd have log. My base is 1.0075 of 20 equals 12t. And now this is something that we discussed on how to type this in the calculator. You have to type log 20 divided by log 1.0075. So when you would type that, and then you would divide that answer by 12. So again, you would type log 20 divided by log 1.0075. You'd get that answer, and then you divide that result by 12. And when you do that, we get approximately 33.4 years. So it'll take about 33.4 years for that to happen. So we're going to pick up with some of these word problems and practicing these concepts tomorrow.